Alrighty, what's going on, y'all? This is the Couch Scouts Sports Podcast. Here with the one and only Anthony Bills down in good old Texas. Anthony, how you doing tonight?
I'm so sorry. Hold on. Twitch is. I'm hearing you twice because
Oh
my
shoot,
Twitch.
yeah, you gotta
I gotta
mute it.
mute you. Sorry. Okay. We're good now. Oopsie. Oopsie. Let's do this. My bad. It's good. Everything's good, dude.
Quarant-
Staying inside. So,
Quarantine 2020, man.
yeah. Absolutely. Um, but it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
good man. Yeah, so
We got people watching. Nice.
welcome into the stream, you guys. We got a lot to cover tonight. We're not gonna stay on super long, but we got some good topics to cover. Anthony's gonna go over some winners and losers of the free agency period. You guys asked a whole bunch of questions on Instagram and Twitter that we're gonna get answered for you. A couple listener questions, and then we're gonna just talk about the incoming 2020 class, where we think that some of the big studs are gonna fall and how that's gonna help your fantasy teams. But yeah, we just want to say thanks for taking the time to listen in. It means a lot to us. You can follow us on Instagram at thecouchscoutspod, and we are also on YouTube. You can subscribe to us there, the Couch Scouts Pod as well. Go ahead and hit subscribe or follow on Twitch, and you'll get notified every time that we go live, so you catch all our episodes. And you can also find us on Spotify and iTunes. But hope you guys are all doing well in the midst of whatever the heck is going on in the world right now. I'm kind of bummed to not have any sports. I get so sad, Anthony, every time I log on to ESPN, and like the ticker that's always at the top of scores, it just says like keep up to date with Corona, and I'm like, frick.
Yeah.
There's nothing going
Yeah.
on.
I know. I like playing Streak for Cash, and there's nothing to Streak for Cash right now. It sucks.
Yeah, right.
Except they're putting some random, like, I think there's been like cricket and stuff like that, and they've even had like some dodgeball matches on there. But
Oh yeah, ESPN 8 the Ocho.
I'm like, yeah.
Nice. But yeah, like I said, he's Anthony Bills. You can follow him on Twitter. It is dat, which is DAT underscore dude underscore AB. Anthony's going to be watching the Twitch comments and chatting back with you guys if you have any live questions. But if you asked any questions on Instagram, we're going to be getting to those shortly. So, Anthony, anything else before we jump right in?
No, I'm excited. I'm ready. If you guys have more questions that you didn't get to send in to us,
Yeah,
send them in the comments as well. Um,
exactly.
'Cause this is going to be interacting. Obviously, a lot of podcasts are just the podcast that we used to do was just me and Noah would get together once a week and we'd sit down, at his house when we were both in California, and we would just talk face to face that way. But now with streaming, we can interact with you guys more. It's more fun. Um, so I see it like uh, Matthew is in here. Yo,
Yo, what up,
freaking
Matthew?
Cheeks is in here. Anthony taking care of little Emerson, like getting him on football early,
Our
hopefully.
boys.
So yeah, stuff like that. But yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I say let's get started with the winners and losers segment. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Alrighty. So I'm gonna pull up our stream here. All right. So, Anthony, let's start with the free agency winner. So obviously, the free agency period is not over yet, but um, obviously, like a lot of the big moves are done. Sorry, I have no idea where my mind just went right there. A lot of the big moves are done. I feel like there's still a handful of a couple quarterbacks, a couple free agent running backs that we want to see where they go. But for the most part, the hype that was the 2020 free agency class did not disappoint whatsoever. And you highlighted three teams that you thought were the winners of the free agency period. I got them up on the screen right now for the viewers. I got the Arizona Cardinals, the Cleveland Browns, and the Tampa Bay
Oh, I see.
Buccaneers.
Okay.
Um,
Sorry, I couldn't see it.
oh no, you're good. So, do you want to just break down why you chose these three teams, how this helps them going into 2020, and what made them a free agency winner?
Yeah, dude, it was tough to choose. Honestly, it took me like 2 hours to just pick those three winners. Because there's a lot of teams. Like I really like what the Cowboys did. A lot of people don't, but I do, being a Cowboys fan, because we needed to make sure Dak was back. We needed Amari Cooper, but whatever. So yeah, number one, Arizona, obviously. Um, DeAndre Hopkins, one of the top wide receivers in the game.
Yeah.
And they traded a bad contract and just a second and a fourth round pick for him. When you got Amari Cooper a couple years ago, went to the Cowboys for a first rounder, Stephon Diggs. A day later, or maybe that same day, I can't remember, went to Buffalo for a lot of picks, including a first rounder.
Right.
So Arizona Cardinals win that trade 100%. Jordan Phillips is a good defensive tackle just for that defensive line. Um, Campbell, Kenyon Drake is huge,
Yeah.
especially now that they got rid of David Johnson.
Yeah.
An aging bad contract is gone, and Kenyon Drake, he showed up big time. We've talked about him pretty much both previous podcasts that we've done. Kenyon Drake just tore up fantasy football last year, so um, I just love what they've done, and obviously Larry Fitzgerald comes back, so I just love what the Arizona Cardinals done, and they're one of my big winners, clearly.
If you had to say a guesstimate of how many wins they have in 2020, what would you shoot for?
Probably have to look at the schedule.
Okay.
But to be honest, I don't think they're the worst team in the NFC West anymore.
Yeah.
And we'll address that in our free agency losers
Yeah.
later. So I honestly, it's going to depend on the growth of Kyler Murray. He really played well as a rookie last year.
Yeah.
He can play so much better, and I think he will. Obviously, with DeAndre Hopkins now and Kenyon Drake, we'll see how their defense holds up. They added a few key pieces on their defense, so that's big. So if I had to look at it right now, I'd probably say 9-7, 8-8.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Wow.
It could be better. It could. I don't think it's going to be much worse than that.
Yeah.
And they could maybe creep into 10-6.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Without looking at the schedule,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Last year, 5-10, fourth in the in the NFC West. So I would imagine that they're going to get a lot more wins. You add a huge name like DeAndre Hopkins, and then the couple defensive players that you mentioned there, and then getting a full 2020 season out of Kenyon Drake. I gotta think you're pretty close there in that, like 9. I could even see 10 wins, like you said, depending on the schedule. So they could definitely make a run at the. I don't think that they'll win the NFC West. I think the 49ers kind of have that locked up, but I think that the games will definitely be a lot closer for the Cardinals.
Yeah. So here they play the AFC East and the NFC East next year.
Okay.
Those are probably the two weakest divisions in football.
Yeah. Yep.
So they'll have the Cowboys, yes. They'll have the Buffalo Bills from the NFC East and AFC East, but then the Eagles, Redskins, Giants, Dolphins, Patriots are going to be probably bad.
Yeah.
Maybe not horrible, but bad. So
Yeah.
I like them.
Alrighty. Then how about the Cleveland Browns? The AFC North division, who this team was supposed to be in the Super Bowl 2 years ago when they got Baker Mayfield and OBJ. So Super Bowl 2020 for the Browns, or just a really much better team in 2020?
Well, free agency wise, yes, they're a winner. Because, if you look at that, they got the first or second best tight end on the market,
Yeah.
Austin Hooper. They stole him, 26 years old, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe is a stud.
Yeah, 26.
So they steal him. Jack Conklin, they steal him away from Tennessee. He's one of the top offensive linemen in football. Carl Joseph he never really exceeded expectations in Oakland. But he's still a solid player, and he's better than I believe it was Eric Murray who was playing for the Browns last year at that safety position, who's gone now. So there's an upgrade there.
Right.
Case Keenum, if Baker Mayfield continues to struggle, it seems like the Browns, and Stefanski, who has a relationship with Case Keenum in Minnesota,
Yeah.
he's like, hey, look, your leash is short, and
Yep.
we'll go to Case Keenum, and with those weapons, Case Keenum can be very successful.
Yeah.
So, I just like the moves that they've made. They lost Joe Schobert, that's a big loss, but other than that, they're Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, so many weapons, and
Yeah.
for it seems like every year the Browns win free agency. At some point, they're going to put it
They got
together. It's going to be tough in that division. Pittsburgh's going to be back. Baltimore is obviously the cream of the crop in that division, and Cincinnati has made some great improvements in free agency. I almost put them in the winners because the Bengals have added a lot of good pieces. Like, no really big names, but they've added some really good pieces, and then they're going to obviously get Joe Burrow most likely. So
yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot. I think the Ravens are definitely the runaway in the AFC North, but I could see the Browns making a push for the wild card this year. I think it's really, like we've talked about in the last few episodes, it really depends on Baker Mayfield and what he's able to do. But you talk about the coaching changes, and then just bringing in a couple, like a veteran quarterback who's actually going to push Baker. I think that's what he needed. Was he's always been a player that has kind of had a chip under his shoulder, and I think coming into the Browns, it was like he's number one, no doubt about it. And so I think that hopefully the signing of Case Keenum kind of lights a fire in him, and he has a much improved 2020 season and turns the lowers the turnover ratio. That would be big for them. So yeah, definitely don't think that they could challenge the Ravens, but I think they're more than anything a wild card team. Would you agree with that?
yeah, like everybody last year was saying, oh, they're going to go 11-5, 10-6. I think now you can give them that. Okay, this second year, um, Baker and OBJ, Chubb, all these guys together, second year.
Yeah.
Add Austin Hooper. Finally, an offensive lineman that can help.
Yep.
Let's see if they can get that 10-6 this year. I would not call somebody. I wouldn't tell somebody to slow down this time like I did was last year.
Yeah.
If they go 10-6, or if you say they're 10-6. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I think Matthew said Case Keenum is a solid backup, and I think that's definitely true, and that's what he is a solid
yeah,
backup. I think he was a bit overwhelmed when he. I don't know. It's hard to say because he lit it up for Minnesota that year that he took over, but then when he went full time in Denver and then in Washington, it just seems like he's much more fitted
yeah,
for that backup role.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, he had 22 touchdowns, over 3,500 yards in Minnesota, and then since then it's been
yeah,
almost the opposite. Interceptions have increased, touchdowns have decreased. So
yeah.
yeah, I think he's a solid backup, but definitely just a guy that they brought in to push Baker.
Oh yeah, it's put pressure on his feet. Put pressure on him, just like the Bears did with Nick Foles on Trubisky. It's like, look, dude, we didn't draft you. We will move off of you.
Yeah,
So I'm bringing in a veteran that I know can get the job done.
yeah,
And
and it's
if you don't perform, we'll go to him.
yeah, and it's
So
good to bring in. Um, like I feel like they haven't had any great veteran leadership at the quarterback position. Like I said, it's just kind of been Baker after they got rid of Tyrod. So hopefully, even just his presence with Baker, mentoring him a little bit, just helping him prepare, will be good.
yeah,
Okay, last team was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They obviously made the splash
yeah.
of the whole free agency signing Tom Brady. But what were some of the other moves, and what does Tom Brady mean for the Buccaneers going forward?
Well, he means no more losing games by 6 points because we threw a pick six. Jameis, talented. You put something up on our Instagram page a week or two ago when this move was made about their QBR was the same. The difference is touchdowns and interceptions.
Right.
Brady's not going to throw 30 interceptions.
Yeah.
He might throw 10 if that next year. He's got weapons. They're poised and they're ready. And Bruce Arians even came out and said, "If you guys think we're not going to win, are you kidding me? I have Tom Brady."
Yeah.
Like that. Tom Brady is huge. Just his name alone puts them at the top of free agency winners. But if you mentioned Shaq Barrett, they were able to re-sign him. He led the NFL in sacks last year
Yeah.
with 19 and a half. He's a stud pass rusher. And then right by him is going to be Jason Pierre-Paul. He's not the same guy as a few years ago, but he still gets the job done. So,
Yeah, he's got a few
you
less
know,
fingers.
yeah, exactly. And then besides taking Tom Brady, the number one reason is because everybody in the world can triumph now because the New England Patriots dynasty is done.
Right.
It's done.
Exactly.
It's over. It's over.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Um, but it's going to be weird seeing Tom Brady play, but it's going to be exciting. I can't wait. The NFC South is loaded. And, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Teddy Bridgewater, like, it's just loaded. It's going to be a fun division to watch.
Yeah.
So many superstars in that division.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, man, it's crazy to think that when Tom Brady first went to the Buccaneers, it was like, okay, they're definitely going to be a contender to win this division. And then you started seeing all the moves that the Panthers made. You see the moves that the Falcons made, and then the moves that the Saints made, because they're like, we got pride.
Yeah.
Like, we're not just going to roll over for Tom Brady. And now,
Yeah.
I mean, this could be the toughest division to win in football at this point, especially after the draft, when you see some of the weapons that these teams bring in or what they add on the defensive end. So
Yeah.
I mean, any of those four teams, I think, could win the division. I don't think it's going to be the Falcons. I think it's going to be Saints.
I think Saints or Bucks.
Saints,
Honestly,
yeah,
for
Saints,
me,
Bucks, Panthers, Falcons would be my top four.
yeah.
But I mean, potentially any four of those teams could be a wild card team. When I look at the roster and the players that they have, depending on what kind
Yeah.
of season Teddy Bridgewater has, I think,
Yeah.
it could we could
Yeah.
you could see him, one of them
Yeah.
in the wild
It,
card.
it's it's one of those years where you could potentially see one division get three teams. Where
Yeah,
you have a division winner and then the two wild cards. I don't think it's going to happen.
yeah,
I think it'll be New. I think New Orleans is going to win the division.
yeah,
Just, I mean, Emmanuel Sanders. I had New Orleans in here originally, but then
yeah,
I was like, dude, Tom Brady leaving the freaking Patriots dynasty to go somewhere, I have to give it to Tampa.
yeah,
So I think New Orleans is still going to win that division, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch,
yeah,
and it's going to be fun seeing Tom Brady not have to, as good as he was in 10-degree weather, rain, snow, blizzards. We don't have to see that anymore.
right.
So we get to see Tom Brady play in 70 degrees in December now, And
Yeah.
then if they have to travel to Atlanta, it's indoors. If they have to travel to New Orleans, it's indoors. Carolina, it's not going to be horrible. So
Yeah,
it's going to be fun to watch Tampa Bay.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think when you look at the weapons that the Saints have, it's not even in the question that they have the better offense. I think if the Buccaneers would have gone out and signed a Todd Gurley or a Melvin Gordon, I think they'd be higher up there. But
Right.
when you have Kamara, you got Michael Thomas, and then sign Emmanuel Sanders and sorry,
Studies show that
my
one
Twitch
in
is going
every
off right
five
now.
Twitch viewer
Who's the quarterback that play
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill, yeah, and I think he's a big X factor. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see, for sure.
Yep.
All right, so those were the three winners, and now we're looking at the three losers, and there was definitely some teams that are not, yeah, unfortunately, some crazy decisions. But the three that we mentioned, you're going to talk about Houston Texans, the Los Angeles Rams, and then the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Where you want to start there? You want to start Texans?
Let's just go Houston, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because we already touched it. David Johnson, bad contract in Arizona, and they traded for it. They've been dealing with injury-riddled running backs the last few years, and they just traded for another one.
Right.
So, I don't see how David Johnson is a huge upgrade over Carlos Hyde right now. They
No.
could have just kept Carlos Hyde and then addressed the running back need in the draft.
Yeah.
I understand trading DeAndre Hopkins because they weren't going to pay him the money that he wanted,
Yeah.
but they undersold him. Like we
Oh.
said, they got nothing for him. So
Right.
it was like, it was just so stupid. And then I love Randall Cobb. We talked about it. I wish the Cowboys would have re-signed him. But you see that figure right there. That's why the Cowboys didn't re-sign him. Nobody was going to give Randall Cobb $27 million for
Yeah.
3 years. Nobody. So they outbid themselves on that one.
Yeah,
They paid Randall Cobb like a wide receiver too.
Yeah, the fact that he got that contract just still blows my mind.
It's great for him. I'm so I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Because he moves 3 hours south, so
Yeah.
he's still in Texas. Doesn't have to move his family like crazy, and he got paid.
Yeah.
They just overpaid. It's just some stupid moves that they have made, And then I think they even signed I think they signed the guy that I was mentioning, Eric Murray from the Browns. So I'm like, so then they paid him like 20 mil too, two
Yep.
years. So like they overpaid him as well. The only decent signing they made, and they still may have paid too much, was Bradley Roby, because Bradley Roby did good for them in the defense as at corner last year.
Yeah.
But they gave him a decent chunk. So I don't know. I just don't know what they're doing. And Deshaun Watson's not happy.
No.
So, which sucks because it's not like he can go anywhere.
Right. Yeah, they got
They're
it.
just they'll just franchise him.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It's gonna be like Kirk Cousins in Washington, except I actually love Deshaun's talent.
Yeah.
Where it's like, dang. But
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, definitely rough for Deshaun Watson. I think you look at a contract like DeAndre Hopkins, and it does make some sense because they weren't going to pay him because they need to pay for Deshaun Watson's contract that's going to come up, and the protection that he needs. Laramie Tunsil's contract is coming up, so I think it was definitely going to be hard to give to. I mean, because Hopkins, at this point, he could command, one of the highest paid wide receiver salaries, and then I would assume Michael Thomas would probably surpass him after that. But
yes. Dude, DeAndre Hopkins is going to get so much more money because of the Amari Cooper deal.
yeah,
Like, DeAndre Hopkins has got to be so excited seeing that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think the Texans are just kind of like, okay, let's do it now. Let's get what we can. But I agree.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see the return, especially like we talked about in the last episode, that when the Hayden Hurst trade to the Atlanta Falcons was the exact same return,
Yes.
minus David Johnson. So they either think David Johnson is back in 2016. I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Rams, which is just departure town for a lot of these guys.
Yeah. New year, new me, new logo, new team.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
I've never seen a team go to the peak and then go straight down into
The Warriors.
the valley. Yeah.
The Warriors.
Yeah.
But that's because of injuries.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. The Rams are just made some terrible decisions. So, talk about their situation and their losses and what 2020 looks like for them.
They struggled last year with like legit talent on their team, and they lost so much. Okay, cool. You got out of the Todd Gurley deal, but what I'm interested in, how bad is it going to look when Todd Gurley goes to Atlanta and becomes All Pro again?
Yeah.
I don't. Is that if that happens, you're going to look really stupid.
Yeah.
And then if you have Jared Goff looking like a 15 to 20 range quarterback,
yeah,
it's like, okay.
Yeah, because they just signed him too.
Exactly. They gave Jared Goff a huge deal, and he has not performed.
Yeah.
As bad as Todd Gurley was last year, he still had actually a decent season if you look at his numbers.
Yeah.
But Corey Littleton is a huge loss. The Raiders picked him up, a big win for the Raiders. Clay Matthews, he's getting up there. Yeah, it's not a huge loss, but it's still a veteran leader in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Or locker room. I'm thinking baseball. Nickel Roby Coleman is gone. Dante Fowler Jr. They traded for him, right?
Yeah.
They traded for him.
Yeah, a couple years ago. Yeah.
Gone. I like and Brandon Cooks is on the block.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up getting rid of Brandon Cooks.
I know.
They're going to get rid of everybody except the person that they probably should move on.
They should have got rid of. Yeah. Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. I think from the running back perspective, they brought in Darrell Henderson last year out of Memphis, and he was supposed to be. Honestly, from what I heard, he was going to just take over Todd Gurley's role, and they drafted him quite early too, and so there was a lot of concern at that point of Todd Gurley's health, and he really didn't do a whole lot in 2019. So I don't know if they've seen a change in him where they're like, no, this is our guy, or if they're going to dip into the draft again and have to spend another pick on a running back. But that would literally be like 3 out of the last 4 years that they've had to go within the first 3 rounds to get a starting running back. So that'll be interesting for sure.
Maybe they like another Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll drop to them because
Yeah.
they're not going to take him in the first round.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they have the best defensive player in the NFL, and then maybe the best corner in the NFL. But other than that, you know, with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, so I'm like, I I don't know what the Rams are going to do. Maybe they need to trade one of them as well, and start just rebuilding with draft picks.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look good in LA, at least for the Rams side. It looks good on the other side, but not the Rams.
Yeah. All right, one last team, and then for those watching, we'll jump into some of your listener questions, get some things answered for you guys. But the last team on here was the Miami Dolphins. Came in to the free agency with a ton of cap space. Obviously, they've been trading away so many assets for picks. They have a lot of picks coming up. I think like three first rounders in 2020, and then 2 in 2021. But still, they're free agency losers. So, explain that one, Anthony.
Yeah, I think I might. I don't know if you agree with me. I was reading some articles from like Bleacher Report and ESPN, and they all love what the Dolphins have done.
Yeah.
But I don't do. Out of all those names listed right there, do any of those names really stand out to you? Like, do they pop?
The only two that pop the most is Kyle Van Noy, just because I know what he did.
Right.
But New England is a system defense that was designed for him. So I'm interested to see what he actually does in a Miami Dolphins defense, just based on what kind of scheme that they run.
I mean, he has Brian Flores, so
yeah.
I think he'll be good. But I mean, Jordan Howard, they didn't really pay Jordan Howard much, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
But one name not on here is Byron Jones, and obviously he's from my Cowboys.
Yeah.
A good player, but to pay all the money that they spend all the money they spent on Byron Jones, 5 years, 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm gonna pay you as a top corner, like, I want you to lock guys down, but dude, can you like give the ball back to me?
Yeah. Right.
Like, can you, So I just don't like that they spent over $200 million on these names when none of them are really all pro players.
Yeah. Okay.
Shaq Lawson had a career high in sacks last year.
Yeah.
6. That's your career high, and they paid him to come. And Emmanuel Agba, whatever, like he was supposed to be something good for the Chiefs last year, and he just wasn't.
Yeah.
And Eric Flowers, this dude, I'm glad. I'm not glad. I actually hate that he is now gone from New York, because I've seen Robert Quinn, Marcus Lawrence. I've seen just the Cowboys destroy this dude in New York for the last few years, because he's a bust. But I just don't like all the money they've spent. But a lot of people are saying, hey, they're filling holes. Okay, but I just don't like spending $200 million on those holes when none of those holes are really filled by big-time game changers.
Yeah.
Other than Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah.
Kyle Van Noy will be a success because Brian Flores knows him, and he knows Brian Flores' system.
Yeah.
They can really turn it around though if they can get to the draft. Or the rumors of trading up to get that number 1 pick and taking Burrow. I want it. I like Burrow and I like Tua, but I like them both so much they compare that I would save all my picks and just get Tua.
Yeah.
And just go with him.
Yeah. I think it seems like, I mean, obviously a lot of those players, defensive players, so they really loaded up on the defensive end, but I think that they, from based on that pattern, it looks like they're going to go grab a lot of offensive weapons in the draft. So with 3 first-round picks, you could see them go get a quarterback, running back, and a wide receiver, which would be exciting for them, especially if it's Tua and he does play in 2020. That gets me excited about that offense. But, I would agree with you. It's a lot of money for – I felt like they could have spread it out a different way and gone and got – like, even if they went and got Clowney, spend – take away 2 of those players and just spend on Clowney, who would, like, literally change the entire Seattle defense in 1 year. So
Exactly. They could have taken the Shaq Lawson money and the Agba money and given it to Clowney.
Yeah.
They could have taken Byron Jones' money, cut it in half, and given it to Chris Harris, who is honestly a better corner, if you ask me.
Yeah.
From Denver, and the Chargers got him for half of what they got Byron Jones for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if you look at Eric Flowers, Jack Conklin signed with the Browns for just a little bit more than Eric Flowers did.
Yep.
And Jack Conklin is a Pro Bowler,
Yeah.
So it just didn't make any sense, but it'll be interesting if they can get Tua and And then if you think about it with their second first round pick, if you can get Jerry Judy or Henry Ruggs to get him his teammate, then boom. But I like the Dolphins. They're trending upwards.
Yeah.
They started the season so bad last year. They went 5-4. They ended the season 5-4.
Yeah.
Their last 9 games. So they're trending upwards.
Yeah.
They got to get rid of Josh Rosen because they're obviously not going to use him. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. I just don't like all the money they spent on these guys. I don't hate any of these moves. I just don't like the money they spent for them.
Yeah. In the chat, they want to know, will McVay go down as a one good year and bust coach? It's crazy because, like, after they went to the Super Bowl, every NFL team was trying to find any assistant coach, video coordinator that had worked under McVay's like seat. They go find a dude that polished his shoes and sign him as a assistant defensive coordinator. Like, it just didn't make sense. Like, half these guys had no experience in the NFL and they were hiring them to big name positions. So
and really only one has worked so far.
Yeah.
It's your guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just funny because like that whole conversation that was going on during the off season 2 years ago is not even existent anymore, and it's just mostly like, what the heck is Sean McVay going to do with this team in 2020? I still think he's a great football mind, but I think that the way that the GM, and he had to have had a say in it as well, but the way that they handled the draft, the trades, the veteran players, it was really like towing the line of boom or bust. And I get it, like that's kind of what you have to do in the NFL to compete, but they had some really, really great young talent, and it's all just kind of falling to pieces now, and I feel bad for the young guys that who thought like, oh, we're about to be a dynasty, and now they could be a bottom tier dynasty, if you know what I mean.
Back to the St. Louis Rams, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I know. Before, or like in the middle of last season when they were struggling, I was listening to Cowherd, and he was talking about the culture that the Rams have in their locker room and stuff.
Yeah.
Is so, like, the way that Sean McVay goes about things is so like, oh, take care of the player, like, no, so like they kind in football, dude, like, yes, take care of the player, but the coaching mentality, you gotta have discipline.
Yeah.
And Sean McVay doesn't seem like he has discipline on these guys, so they're just kind of free. It's more of a run like an AAU team or an NBA team. So that's kind of where I think their decline has went, because they know, like, oh, coach don't care, he's not gonna get on us, like, it's so laid back and comfortable, and it's just, and you see the regression from all of the guys.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp injuries, I get it, but there's so much regression with Jared Goff, so much regression with it was with Todd Gurley, obviously injury, whatever, but it just hasn't worked.
Yeah.
Honestly, the best young coach to me, it's Shanahan.
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan, and he showed it. He just took the 4-12 49ers to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They honestly could have won, but apparently Shanahan chokes in the Super Bowls. It's twice now.
Oh my gosh, I know.
But yeah, I think he's still. It's definitely a one good year for McVay. I don't know if he's going to be a bust. I think he still has a future ahead of him.
Yeah. That's good.
I think the Todd Gurley move and trading away, or releasing Todd Gurley and starting to move on is kind of like, okay, we need to reset.
Yeah.
And get back to what we were. So.
Yeah, that's good. Good question. Thanks, chat. Keep them coming. Let's actually jump into a few of the questions that were asked on Instagram, Anthony, and let the listeners have what they want to hear. So we can just go through. I'll ask the question. There's a few that I researched that I can answer, but we can just both kind of weigh in on both of these. The first one is from
Big John.
At Big John Miller, probably the biggest Raider fan that I know. Wants to know, did the Raiders do enough to beat Kansas City, assuming that they draft a wide receiver 1 in the draft? A couple names up there that I've seen them mock to is CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs, Jared Judy. They're definitely up there where they could take a receiver that early. I'm gonna say no. That's my
Can
opinion.
anybody? I don't know if anybody's ready to beat KC.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're talking about a team that is projected to go back to the Super Bowl. Do I think the Raiders are Super Bowl contenders? No. Um, I would definitely say that when I look at the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Raiders, I could honestly say that those three are pretty even for me right now if I had to rank them, just based on like coaching and quarterbacks. But if they were to go get a Jerry Judy, I think that or a CeeDee Lamb, I think that would help a lot. But I still think that they made some questionable moves in the free agency period. I would like to see them go get one of the big name receivers other than Nelson Aguilar. But yeah, what do you think, Anthony?
Um, yeah, no, I don't know. I had a lot of expectations for the Raiders last year, but obviously Antonio Brown was just a, I don't know, no pun, but coronavirus in that organization last year.
Yeah,
He just spread out and just killed it.
yeah,
Um, I don't know what has happened to Derek Carr. I love Derek Carr, and I feel like he is a really good quarterback, but he has kind of just been struggling. So hopefully, maybe the Mariota move, um, just like we said with Baker Mayfield and Case Keenum, Nick Foles in Chicago. Hopefully, this Mariota move is a great wake up call for Derek Carr. That okay, I got to get this done.
yeah,
Um, I hope they do go get a receiver. I hope they don't reach the fourth overall pick like they did last year for
yeah,
Clelin Ferrell.
yeah,
As good as he is, and he's going to have a good future. I just that was way too early. So as far as BKC, I mean, dude, it's KC is just
yeah,
KC's the new Patriots. Like I think we got to get used to it.
yeah.
I don't think it's not going to be like the New England Dynasty.
No,
But they're the team right now.
yeah,
I agree. I think they're pretty even. Um, if you look at the three teams, I like their quarterback situation better as of right now.
yeah,
I like Derek Carr over Tyrod Taylor, over Drew Lock. Drew Lock is a small sample size. He will probably be better in the long run, but we'll see.
yeah,
I love Josh Jacobs. It's a great piece to build around. Now go get some weapons for Derek Carr
yeah,
on the outside.
yeah,
I don't understand why they are signing all these Cowboys though. They've literally signed about 5 Cowboys because I get the notifications because I get Cowboys emails and notifications, and I'm like, oh, why are they signing Jeff Heath? Why are they signing Jason?
Jeff
Witten?
Heath, yes,
When they have Darren Fuller, why are they signing Jason Witten? But
yeah,
we'll see. I mean,
yeah,
I'll be rooting for him. I love the silver and black. John, I don't know if you're in here, but I wanted to ask you as a Raiders fan. Me and Noah talked about it the other day because there is a quarterback that is open, and it's Cam Newton. I would love to see Cam Newton. Obviously, they already signed Mariota, so they probably
Cam,
wouldn't.
baby.
But would you want to see Cam Newton play for the Raiders? Because I feel like him and Josh Jacobs in that backfield running like that Panther system that they used to run with Cam when Cam was on top. I feel like Cam. If anybody could help Cam Newton, it'd be John Gruden.
yeah,
But
yeah. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I'm usually not a Cam truther, but I would like to see him at least have one more good year with another team. So we'll see. Next question. We actually talked about this, I feel like a couple weeks ago or maybe a week ago, Anthony. This comes from @CoachPeters on Instagram. Where do you project Tom Brady to rank among quarterbacks in 2020? I feel like we
around the
said
10
what?
range.
Yeah, what did we say? 10 to 11?
Yeah, I think he'll be higher.
Yeah.
I do personally, but
Yeah.
I think that's what. Yeah, that's kind of where we I think kind of agreed on around 10 to 12.
Yeah, I would say his floor is probably 13. I think that's the lowest that he finishes, and he could be up there in like the 8 9. You never know. But he was QB 16 last year in 2019 with basically a whole new offense, inconsistent weapons. So when you add in, especially if they go get like a J.K. Dobbins in the draft or they sign Devontae Freeman, you have a great weapons in the running back position. Add in Ronald Jones, you got O.J. Howard, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and then they actually did just Brashad Perryman just signed with the Jets, so that opens up another roster spot if they. A lot of people are like, oh, that opens up a roster spot for Antonio Brown. I don't think that he's going to sign.
Please.
I don't think he's going to sign with them, but I mean, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So, yeah, definitely somewhere in the I would say 8 to 12 range in quarterbacks. If you play like fantasy football in redraft leagues, Tom Brady's definitely a guy that I'm going to target late in the draft because a lot of owners are going to write him off early. Just saying like, oh, he's washed up. He's super old, but consistently Tom Brady has been one of the best quarterbacks. So if you can get him late, in the 8th, 9th, even further than that round,
yeah,
go for it.
What about, okay, so 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, 2 new systems, 2 new places. Tom Brady, this is fantasy-wise, not just, we know who's better, Tom Brady, but fantasy-wise, for next year in like a redraft, would you rather have Tom Brady or
Andy Dalton?
No.
What?
Tom Brady or Andy Dalton is not a Hall of Fame quarterback.
I'm kidding.
Matthew, I know Bengals. Andy Dalton, okay. Tom Brady or Phillip Rivers, fantasy-wise, for 1 year next year.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, I agree. I just know Phillip Rivers is gonna throw the ball a ton. So.
Listen. Unless the Colts move up in the draft and go get like
the 13th pick.
Yeah.
They traded it.
Yeah, they gave it away. If they were gonna go get Judy or Lamb, I would be like, okay, he's got some weapons with Hilton, with Jack Doyle, with Marlon Mack. But honestly,
Paris Campbell.
Yeah, Paris Campbell. T.Y. Hilton gets hurt way too much. I honestly think that Chris Godwin with the Buccaneers is gonna go top 3 in fantasy this year. So I'll go Tom Brady all day.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, next question comes from Juan Didi Dom. Get Dalton out. He wants to know potential bounce back players in 2020 to get for a bargain.
Andy Dalton. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he's not bouncing anywhere except probably out of the Bengals organization. Bounce back players in 2020. I felt like we just said one, Paris Campbell. I think that he. What?
Okay. No, I wasn't expecting that. That's good. Okay.
I think he bounces back for sure. I mean, he was hurt, got that hamstring injury right at the end of preseason, and then ankle injury. And I think he's going to be a guy that's available really, really late in redraft leagues. So I would go ahead and pick him up just because he could end up being the Colts' number 2 and potentially the number 1 receiver depending on T.Y. Hilton's health throughout the season. So that's one player I'm looking for to bounce back. Was there any that came to your mind right away, Anthony?
Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, there we go.
Melvin Gordon. He's gonna, I guess not have a full off season because this coronavirus, whatever. But he's no holdout. Happy he's got a deal. I know somebody on our Instagram disagrees, but he's going to be the number 1 back in Denver.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why people think Philip Lindsay is this amazing All-Pro running back. He had a good rookie year and surpassed expectations. He's not Melvin Gordon.
Right.
Okay. At his best, Melvin Gordon is a top 5 running back fantasy wise. Okay. So, and he's still young. So I like Melvin Gordon. There's probably a few other, but if we're just one right there.
Yeah, I think Eric Ebron signed with the Steelers. I think he's going to be great with Ben Roethlisberger.
Yes.
Roethlisberger loves targeting athletic tight ends. That you saw that in Vance McDonald.
Heath Miller.
Yeah, Heath
when
Miller.
He was young.
Yeah. Ebron's definitely on my list to target in redraft leagues. I'm thinking other running backs. Todd Gurley is going to be in there. He's going to bounce back, but I think most people kind of feel that way. Just with a fresh start, people are like, "Oh, he's going to be great again." So I don't know if he would fall as low. I'm trying to think who else. Chris Carson could be a guy that you could find a little bit later in rounds after he had a hip injury to end the 2019 season. So he'll definitely bounce back and should be the starter in Seattle.
Speaking of Seattle, what about Josh Gordon since he's now legally allowed to smoke weed?
Oh man, he's the wide receiver one of the whole NFL.
No, here's one. I don't know if you're gonna get him at a bargain, but I guarantee you this dude has a way bigger year. He's gonna. I'm saying it now. He's gonna have his best fantasy year he's ever had. Odell.
Yeah.
Odell.
Yeah.
Odell's gonna be back.
Yeah.
Him and Baker struggled last year, but they've had a whole year. That Odell is gonna be back.
Yeah.
100%.
Honestly, he's falling in like second and third rounds of redraft leagues right now. So he's definitely a guy that you can get. He's a wide receiver one on that team, especially after the hip surgery for Jarvis Landry. I don't know if you just said that, but
No.
yeah, he could.
Also,
he's definitely a guy I'm looking at.
If you guys do a league on the Sleeper app, I just want to tell you this right now. If you guys do a league on the Sleeper app, it's a fantasy football app, obviously. Derrick Henry is rated 15th. Okay, so you can steal him, like, because trust me, me and Noah did a mock draft of just our top running backs, and we literally was going through, and then all of a sudden, like the fifth round, there's
what
Derrick
the
Henry. We're like, what the
was
heck?
that?
We forgot about him because they had him rated so low. So
Yeah.
if you're on the Sleeper app, just pay attention to where Derrick Henry is ranked.
Go get
Because
him.
people might miss it like that.
Go get him.
It's so stupid.
That's good. That's good. All right, next question is coming from another podcast on Instagram at the Slow Grind. They say, I have the 102 and the 103 in a 2-quarterback league. My quarterbacks are Teddy Bridgewater and Kirk Cousins. Should I draft Burrow? And all right, here's actually, I was going to give you guys a little resource that I use, and this is the rookie pick probability based on where you are drafting. I think this is the right one. Give me a second.
Joe Burrow's really gonna go number one in rookie drafts.
Well, if it's a 2-quarterback league,
Okay.
he's probably gonna go number one. So, based on this, for those watching, if you look at the top of the graph where it says rookie pick, so the question was, I have the 102 and the 103. So most likely in your league, Joe Burrow's going to go at the 101, which means you would have basically 100% chance at Tua. But he has the 102 and the 103. So honestly, what I would do is I would just go, if Burrow falls to you at 102, I would take Burrow, and honestly, I would take Tua at 103. I would take them both, and then I would trade one for better players, because people are definitely going to be desperate in a 2-quarterback league where you have to start 2 quarterbacks. But if not, then I would probably go. I would just take. I would go. If Burrow goes 1, I would go Tua at the 102, and then I would probably take Jonathan Taylor at the 103. But this is just a cool resource to use, because it kind of helps you figure out like what are your actual odds of getting a certain player at a certain time. And there's another question in here where I'm going to bring this chart back up for single quarterback leagues as well. So yeah,
If you're in love with Joe Burrow, I would probably try and trade my second or third pick, and then maybe a later round pick to move up to number one and take Burrow.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're in love with Burrow, but wait and see if Burrow. Actually, I don't think it matters. If the Dolphins trade up and get Burrow, Burrow will be successful. If the Bengals take Burrow, he'll be successful, because Burrow has some weapons in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
If they might not win just yet, but he has weapons in Cincinnati with AJ Green, Alden Tate,
Yeah.
John Ross.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think that. I mean, I think your 2 quarterbacks are great, Teddy and Kirk. I think that they're gonna have solid 2020 seasons. You know, you in a 2-quarterback league, you don't need Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. Like both these guys are gonna put up decent points. But if you don't have a third quarterback in there, I definitely would get a quarterback at the 102 or the 103. And like I said, the quarterbacks are so much more valuable in 2-quarterback leagues. So if it was me, I could take both and then trade them right then and there, and probably get another rookie pick and then some after that. Okay, this question comes from Matt Oliva at Oliva Matt. Best redraft first-round picks to target. I think Derrick Henry. Let's see here. Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Zeke, Kamara, Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins. What else do you think? Who else am I? Devontae Adams. Chris Godwin, Devontae Adams. Those are great
One of those.
first round picks that I like to target. It depends where you pick at. I was actually thinking this morning when I read this question, like me and Anthony did a couple mock drafts just to kind of figure out like where we value players, and if Zeke falls to you at number
You didn't say Saquon.
Saquon Barkley, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah. In most of your leagues, it's probably going to be Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, Zeke, Derrick Henry. But,
Yeah.
I mean, if Zeke falls to you at 4, I think you have to take him. If he falls any lower than 4, you have to take him just because, especially if it's a PPR league, he has such tremendous upside because the Cowboys love to use him in the pass game. He's a great ball catcher. Yeah, I think, yeah. This year I'm going running back heavy in most of my redraft leagues. Like usually,
Which is crazy.
Yeah, usually
because the running back is so devalued now.
Yeah, usually I wait, but because the NFL is not valuing the running backs like they have, there's 5 or 6 good ones, and then the rest there's a huge drop off. So those would be some that I would say. I mean, if you can get Michael Thomas, if you're sitting in that 4 or 5 spot, and you have the option between Zeke and Michael Thomas, you're set. You're good to go. You're gonna have a great 2020 season. So,
Exactly.
and then he had one more question: Kyler Murray's draft value after acquiring DeAndre Hopkins.
Top 5 fantasy QB for me.
Yeah, I think so as well.
So I think it just depends on how your draft's going. You know, because somebody's going to take Mahomes top 5 almost always, or Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
But
Matthews in the comments said, I think this must be his top 5: Mahomes, Jackson.
No, that's me.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah. It's all good.
So I honestly think that for me it goes Mahomes in redraft leagues. Mahomes, Jackson, I think Prescott, Murray, and then Watson. I honestly think that Murray outscores Watson this year, and I think Prescott is the QB3. I think the Cowboys' offense is going to be lights out, especially if they go and get another top wide receiver. And even if they don't, the second and third round is still going to be loaded with wide receivers that can make a difference. So, Kyler Murray's value definitely increase, but he's got to spread the ball around as well. They have like 4 or 5 good receivers, and Kenyon Drake's a great pass catcher as well. So, I don't think he'll be QB1, but he's up there for sure. Next question comes from @BrentonJC. Who should I be targeting with the 113 in rookie drafts? So this basically I go back to the same chart that I use, and this is for single quarterback leagues. Give me just one second. Okay, so if you go to the top of the chart and follow along to the right, you go down to the 113 and then go down the chart. So basically what this is saying right now, based on Dynasty ADP, you got a 10% chance for T. Higgins, 10% chance for Ruggs, and a 20% chance for Justin Jefferson. After that,
my guy.
These are like the 5 players that you're going to be looking at. Laviska Shenault, Denzel Mims, who I love, Joe Burrow, if you're in need of a quarterback, Zach Moss, running back, and A.J. Dillon. I really like A.J. Dillon. I think he's going to be good. And then same Bryan Edwards. He's another receiver out of South Carolina, which is where Debo just came out of, Debo Samuel. And and he was still productive even with Debo last year. So, and he had a great 2019 season with a honestly terrible South Carolina team. So those are some players that you could be targeting at that point. But just basically using this draft, you can see, or this graph, you can see who you're not going to get based on 8 ADP. So,
dude, if you can get a Higgins, Ruggs, or Jefferson, that's a steal.
Oh,
that's why the percentage is so low.
Yeah,
but dude, oh my gosh, those 3 guys, depending on fit, obviously.
Yeah, and I think depending on your league, there might be a guy that jumps up there and tries to grab Tua. So sorry. Oh, I think there's a guy that could go up there and grab Tua. So we'll see. You could definitely get Ruggs. It'll be, I guess you'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Which player will blossom in 2020 and why? This comes from @EthanandMike podcast on Instagram. Which player will blossom in 2020? I think for me it's Chris Godwin. He still was a top 10, top 7 receiver in 2019. But I think just when you look at what Julian Edelman did in the Patriot offense, I think that's exactly who Chris Godwin is going to be. He was literally lights out last year with Jameis Winston, and obviously Tom Brady doesn't have the deep ball that Jameis Winston has, but Godwin's a great underneath route runner, a great after the catch receiver, and I think that he is going to be, the spread of value is not going to be that high because he's already top rated, but I would expect him to be a 100 catch receiver in 2020.
Yeah. Is this question related to fantasy or just in general NFL?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I guess whatever you want to make it.
Right. If it's fantasy purposes, I'm staying at home. I'm going with Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup and Dak Prescott last year, towards the end of the year, they clicked, and it was a lot of Amari Cooper was not being able to play much. He was injured. He was struggling, and Michael Gallup became the number one wide receiver. He was putting up 100-yard games, touchdowns.
Yeah.
Really establishing himself.
Yeah.
I really like him, and I think he's gonna end up jumping even more.
1,000%.
And putting up big numbers.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. I had another person. I can't think.
Cortland.
I lost it.
Cortland Sutton.
Yes.
For the Broncos, I absolutely love. I think he's going to be. I mean, honestly, he's a top 10 dynasty receiver in my mind. If not top 10, top 15, top 13, 100%. But with the Broncos, just another year under Drew Lock's belt, Cortland Sutton was a beast, even with terrible quarterback play in 2019. So, and he's gonna get some help with just better targets and bringing in Melvin Gordon. Sorry, I don't know what I was just saying.
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon and Noah Fant getting a lot of targets is just gonna open up more of the field for Sutton.
Yeah. Noah Fant was the other person I was going to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I have him in my dynasty, and the start of the year he struggled. The end of the year he was on fire. He helped me win a championship.
Yeah.
When Drew Lock took over. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is this is from our boy Anthony Bulla Nelson. God bless Cheeks in the chat. I don't know if you're still watching, Anthony, but shout out to you. What are the Chiefs' chances of making it back to the Super Bowl?
100%. Honestly, no. I mean, I would say I don't know the percentages, but let's look at the AFC real quick. Who's going to challenge them in the AFC? Okay, the Ravens. We expect Lamar Jackson to maybe take another step, right?
Yep, Ravens. They've actually made a lot of good moves in the offseason.
They have. Are the Titans going to be better? Or now people know about them? Is Ryan Tannehill going to step back now that he's gotten paid? The Patriots are going to be bad. Well,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm saying teams that we're not going to have to worry about. The Steelers will probably be back.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to compete and beat the Chiefs. So AFC purposes, the Browns, the Bills, the Ravens.
Yep.
Who else is there?
That's really...
That could maybe compete. And the Titans, maybe.
Yeah,
Houston,
that's really
obviously not.
No.
Because losing,
yeah.
Jacksonville, no.
Yeah. I would say,
Indianapolis, no.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close to 100%. I would say, like right now it's like 95% as long as they stay healthy and as long as they get a home field advantage, they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a team like the Browns with all the offensive firepower that they have, they would probably be the one team that I could see give them a run, just because they would potentially be able to score with them.
Yeah.
because of all that offensive firepower.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen. So I would probably say the Chiefs 100%.
Okay, this next question comes from one of our guys in the chat, Embers23. Are the Bengals playoff contenders once they get their franchise quarterback? Um, Once they get their franchise quarterback, I say yes. And if that is that Joe Burrow, I don't know.
Yeah, it's Joe Burrow.
I don't think that they are playoff contenders in 2020. I think that they're honestly way too young. Like Colin Coward said, in October when I look in Joe Burrow's eyes, all I'm going to see is fear. Like, I agree. I
No,
agree
you
with
won't.
that. But I
I know.
think Burrow is going to be great with the Bengals. I think that's um, their franchise quarterback, and they're gonna have a good offense. They got a young. Oh, this is another great free fantasy target, Joe Mixon in redraft leagues.
Yeah.
He's gonna have a great year. They honestly had one of the worst offensive lines in 2019, and it's getting a lot better in 2020, and it's just gonna keep getting better as they have to protect Joe Burrow. So, Joe Mixon, AJ Green, Tyler Boyd. Who's the guy that you just mentioned?
John Ross.
Yeah, John Ross. So I think he's got a lot of great weapons, and they could add a few more in the draft. But hard to see them being contenders out of the AFC North.
Yeah, I don't agree that we'll see fear because
Oh,
Joe Burrow.
yeah,
He. But I know what you're saying.
yeah,
He's gonna be like, oh man, this is rough. But this dude showed last year that dude's fiery competitiveness, man. He's definitely a game changer.
yeah,
I think getting Joe Burrow puts them in a position that the Browns put themselves in when they drafted Baker. You know, um, and I know lately there's been some rumblings about drafting Joe Burrow, bringing Andy Dalton back, and having Burrow do kind of a Alex Smith, Patrick Mahomes um, type switch to where Burrow doesn't have to play right away.
right,
He can get used to the speed of the NFL, watch it.
yeah,
I think he is NFL. He's ready to play from day one. So I don't think the Bengals should do that.
yeah,
I think if you can keep Dalton and let him help Joe Burrow just get used to NFL and stuff, yeah. Playoff contenders, no, just because that division is so tough right now. But give it a couple years down the road, absolutely.
yeah,
If Andy Dalton, Joe Burrow is far more talented than Andy Dalton. Um, and if Andy Dalton can lead that team to playoffs for multiple years, Joe Burrow, no doubt, in
yeah,
my mind.
yeah,
Even if they don't get Burrow and they do make this trade that's been speculated, and they have to get Tua, um, you know, that still yes,
yeah. 100%. It'll definitely the AFC North is definitely getting better and more competitive, but give it a year or two, and we'll see what happens.
yeah,
Okay, I think that is it for the listener questions. So, guys, thank you so much for the questions. If you have any more, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat right now, and we'll keep going with the listener questions. But we'll try and get a post out every couple of days before we stream, so that you guys can ask questions and then tune in here for the answers. So, yeah. Should we go? Do you want to keep going with incoming rookies, Anthony?
sure, let's do it.
Alrighty. So, obviously the NFL is trying to keep the draft scheduled for the end of April. I think it's like April 25th through the 27th. I've heard a couple of rumblings of them trying to make it a week long thing, just because it sounds like it's not going to be an in-person event. It's most likely going to be some kind of online thing, which would be interesting because it's probably going to be this first thing in sports that is going to be broadcasted in a long time, but it also would be mostly from like different studios and whatnot. But let's just talk about some of the big name offensive weapons and where we think that they're going to go, like where would be their best potential landing spots. I think we both kind of could agree on Burrow and Tua. I think their two best spots would be Cincinnati and Miami. But how about How about the wide receivers? Let's start with CeeDee Lamb and how early he could go. What are your
One,
thoughts?
s- 1 second. Let me pull up the first round real quick.
Okay.
Sorry. Um, the draft is the 23rd through the 25th.
Okay, 23rd
Also,
this year. Okay, sweet.
yes sir, yes sir. Um, just pull up this draft order. Okay, so Cincinnati Bengals #1, Joe Burrow, obviously. Um, let's see where. Honestly, he ain't gonna go this high, but a team that could really use a wide receiver
Yeah.
would be the 4th overall pick. It's the Giants. It's not gonna happen for CeeDee Lamb
Yeah.
because they're not gonna draft a wide receiver that high.
Yeah.
So then we'll go through. Um, I think the first need at wide receiver, if you look at these drafts, is maybe #9, and that would be
Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think they'll go with wide receiver there.
Yeah.
But they could.
Yeah.
So you can see CeeDee Lamb going 9. Robbie Anderson is gone. So the New York Jets #11. I feel like that's the perfect fit for CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go CeeDee Lamb at the Jets #11.
Yeah.
I hope he falls to 17 in Dallas because that's what a lot of people are projecting. But
Yeah.
I think the Jets now, with losing Robbie Anderson, they have to. You have to give Sam Darnold some help.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. He's seeing ghosts. Let him see some beast receivers.
Yeah. Let him see an actual receiver. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think the Jaguars definitely could take a wide receiver. I think it'd be a big jump for them to do it. You know, they have Keelan Cole. They have D.D. Westbrook. They just signed Tyler Eifert. I think they're okay at the moment at wide receiver. I don't see them
Yeah.
jumping on
I
one.
forgot
But
about DJ Shark, right?
oh my gosh, yeah,
I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as you said they don't see a need a wide receiver,
yeah,
I'm like, oh yeah,
yeah.
Shark was a
Chark is
beast last year.
an absolute beast. Love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Jets, and then after that is Raiders, 49ers, and honestly Broncos at 15. So, like, you start with the 11th round pick, and then all the way to 15 are all teams other than the Buccaneers that could use a wide receiver. And,
Yeah.
I think it'll just be, it's a matter of, like, who goes first. If the Jets do jump on a wide receiver and go get Judy or CeeDee Lamb, I think that the
Yes.
Raiders and the rest of those two other teams, 49ers and Broncos, might feel like, okay, we need to go get a wide receiver right now. And that's the best thing about the NFL draft is you can have all these projections of where teams are going to go, but the second that someone makes a jump and goes and gets a player, people's minds, your thoughts just
Right.
stop processing the right way,
Right.
and you start saying, okay, do I need to go? It's literally like, do I need to go get some toilet paper right now because my Instagram says that there's no toilet paper anywhere? You know, it's like, should we go get a wide receiver right now because if we wait until the second round, they could all be gone. So I would love to see CeeDee Lamb, like you said, on the Jets. I think Judy would be a better fit for the Raiders, but either way, both those receivers are going to be stars in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how about Henry Ruggs? I think we can both agree that Judy and Lamb are kind of in the same tier, but Ruggs is definitely an interesting prospect. I think I read that on every 24 receptions he caught a touchdown. Like, his production in Alabama was just insane. Like, there wasn't a lot of volume, but for what he did on the field, like, he literally caught a touchdown every 24 receptions. That's insane.
It's very, dude. He's very similar to. I don't like to make this comparison because he hasn't been successful in the NFL, but he's very comparable to Devin Smith at Ohio State. Because Devin Smith at Ohio State, I think this dude would score 11 touchdowns in a year.
Yeah.
And it was like he'd have 50 catches, so it was one of those like, oh, every 5 catches is a touchdown. It was crazy production.
Yeah.
And super fast, like a track star.
Yeah.
Just like Henry Ruggs. So yeah, it's tough because I honestly, a lot of people have Henry Ruggs as their third wide receiver. I don't. I would have him. I like Justin Jefferson. I don't know why people are so high on Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
But the #1 guy that he threw it to, they're not as high on.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson has that dog in him. He knows he was overlooked. He knows everybody's talking about Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs. I like Justin Jefferson better, but for the sake of Henry Ruggs, I think anywhere from that 18 to like 25 range, you got Miami could get him. to pair up with Tua because Judy won't be there at 18. If the Raiders pass at that 12th pick,
Yep.
if the Raiders pass at the 12th pick, they could take him 19th. The Jaguars again at 20. The Eagles at 21. At 21. We're gonna see either Henry Ruggs,
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson, or T Higgins.
Yeah.
The Eagles have to.
Yeah.
So,
And then probably at 22 is the other guy, for the Vikings. If it's not,
is it the Vikings?
yeah, 22 is Vikings right now.
Okay, mine says Buffalo Bills.
Oh,
is
really?
that the trade?
Oh, yeah.
It might be. It's the trade.
That was
right?
the trade. Dang, Vikings, man.
Yeah. So.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why I'm reading the Vikings because it's the Bills' pick, right? Because the Bills gave that first round pick, right?
I don't think that's the first round pick they gave.
Oh, okay.
The first round pick next year,
Oh,
or is it this year?
I don't know.
See, I don't know. I'm on ESPN and it has all the other trades updated. Here.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
it has
it must be next year then.
Bills at 22. Either way.
Okay, yeah, the Eagles for sure. Then it's gonna be, like you said, Ruggs, Higgins, or Jefferson there. But I agree. I think Jefferson is gonna be a star.
It's gonna be a beast.
Yeah.
Jarvis Landry, Odell, like he's literally just like they were coming out.
Yeah.
Even more productive. He
Yeah.
might not be as talented, but I guarantee he's gonna put up numbers.
Yeah. How about these are two names from the Big 12 conference in Denzel Mims and Jalen Rager.
Mims.
These are both guys that I feel like are climbing up people's draft boards just based on how they fared at the NFL Combine and the need of different NFL teams. I don't think that Mims or Rager are in that same tier as Higgins, Jefferson, or Ruggs, but do you see the Vikings at 25?
I mean,
Is that on your?
yeah. Mine says Vikings. 25th.
Okay. Yeah. So I could see if all those players are taken, I could see the Vikings going. They definitely need a wide receiver, or even potentially the Ravens at 28 just to add another guy alongside of Marquise Brown, and even the Packers. I don't think that they'll go wide receiver in the first round, but if one of those two guys was available, I'd go for him 100%.
Really, Rager or Mims?
Yeah, at 30, I think that they're gonna go defense, but
for the Packers.
yeah, I think they're gonna wait until second round. But if I was a GM, I would not hesitate on one of those guys because they're gonna go early second round, 100%.
Would you take those guys over Chase Claypool?
Yes.
Because I saw Kuiper's mock draft 3.0 a couple days ago. He had the Packers taking Chase Claypool 30th. So I was just wondering, would you agree with that? Would you rather have Rager or?
I would honestly have Rager over all three of those guys. I think Claypool is going to be a great underrated player, but I think that it's hard to say just because he's like we talked about on the last episode. It's only him and Kelvin Johnson who at their size have run the same time or lower in the 40-yard dash, and I think teams are gonna have trouble like figuring out, is he a tight end or is he a wide receiver just based on his size.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Rager a lot just because he's more of a playmaker than Claypool.
And you guys just signed a big bodied receiver.
Right.
Who doesn't know if he's a tight end or receiver, so you don't need another one.
Yeah.
You see the question, by the way, in the chat?
Oh, no, I missed it. What we got?
No, it just came through. From Matthew, should Derrick Henry be the highest paid running back?
That's a good question.
It is tough. For me, I think Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
If you're going off production.
Yeah.
But you see last year Christian McCaffrey didn't bring wins with his production. Derrick Henry did. Zeke is up there. I mean, it's really who was the last one paid, and then hey, you're putting up the same numbers as them, so you're going to get paid more. So absolutely,
Exactly.
Based off right now, Derrick Henry should be.
Yeah.
Just because dude just ran for 2K.
Yeah.
with ease in his sleep, dude.
Yeah.
Like it looks like he's jogging and he's running a 4.4, 70 yards down the field.
Just juking dudes out.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think I don't think it should be Derrick Henry. I think it's like literally the same situation that the Cowboys were in a couple years ago with DeMarco Murray, where like he was getting up there in age and just tore it up with the Cowboys, but when push came to shove, like they're not going to give him that contract. And I think Derrick Henry is definitely deserving of it because he hasn't had as many carries as DeMarco has at this point in his career. But Christian McCaffrey, from a what he can do on offense is just insane. Like receiving, rushing, he changes the game for sure. For sure.
yeah.
Anthony,
Other rookies?
I got a freaking piece so bad.
You got a piece of that?
Yeah. So I'm gonna let you talk about a rookie. I'll be right back.
Okay. Let's see.
Let's go. I'll be right back. We'll talk about running backs.
Okay. That's cool. All right, we got some people in here, so if you guys have some questions while we wait for Noah to use the bathroom, send some in so we can just chat real quick. Is anybody in here doing? Are you guys doing like just normal fantasy, like redraft leagues, or is you guys doing a dynasty? I joined a dynasty league last year, and it's the funnest thing I've ever done. Because you literally get to build a team. So you're literally making trades, not just for that year. You're making trades for the future. So at the start of the year, I started off good, but I knew my team wasn't, good enough. So I traded a few picks away and got somebody like I brought Zeke in, and I have Christian McCaffrey and Zeke. So I literally have two of the top, 3-4 fantasy running backs on my team, which is great. They help me. I traded for Derek Carr when Derek Carr was hot because Jared Goff was struggling, but Derek Carr never panned out for me. But it's fun doing things like that, So, I don't know. Yeah. You guys, I know people are watching because I see it. It says we have some people viewing. So, give me some questions, something, Even if it's something just to do with sports in general, not even just football. Just miss sports so much, I won't talk about anything. Opening day was supposed to be today, and it wasn't, so that sucks. We're supposed to have some opening day baseball. Should be watching baseball right now. We don't. Basketball, obviously, going away for a while. But yeah, I was just talking to them about joining dynasty leagues.
Oh,
how it's
heck yeah.
fun. So
honestly, it's the only way to stay engaged in football, like all season long.
Yeah.
And I feel like at some point we should just do like some kind of like free listener league, like have like people, just anyone that listens can join a dynasty league if they want to play for the first time and see if you can beat the Couch Scouts. Anthony's undefeated in dynasty, so. Okay, so we were talking. We were pretty much towards the end of the first round. I feel like with the Ravens, Packers.
Warzone.
32 is the Chiefs. Do you think that they go?
A.K. Dobbins.
Do you think that they go running back?
I think so. J.K. Dobbins, 100%. If he's still there, which I think he will be.
Yeah.
If DeAndre Swift is available, then I'd take DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
But I think DeAndre Swift and Jonathan Taylor will probably be gone. Maybe not, just because of all the receivers they need to be taken.
Yeah.
But the O-line is not deep in this year's draft. There's only a few first-rounders, really.
Right.
The D-line is very top-heavy. They're going to go in the top 15, So I feel like the playmakers from 20 to 32, that's where you're going to see a bunch of receivers and a couple running backs go.
Yeah.
So I would love to see the Chiefs take J.K. Dobbins because he fits. I feel like he fits his versatility.
Yeah.
He caught the ball well out of the backfield for Ohio State.
Yeah.
Except for that Clemson game, he did have a few drops that really hurt us. But that's not that's not who he is.
Yeah.
So he fits that offense really well.
Yeah, I think you look at a guy like Kareem Hunt, who absolutely excelled in the Chiefs' offense. A guy who can run between the tackles. He's a hard to tackle guy, but also, honestly, where he really thrived was in the pass game. And if you look at the top three prospects, Taylor, Swift, and Dobbins, I think that I feel like Dobbins is the best pass catcher in that group. I know that was one thing that Taylor really focused on and has been trying to show scouts, but I feel like Dobbins is just the most natural pass catcher, and he actually, I mean, just his power alone reminds me of Kareem Hunt quite a bit, and I agree with you. I think that the Chiefs have to go get a running back when you talk about going back to the Super Bowl, it's obviously harder the second time around, and they did it. They did it with a variety of different backs: LaShawn McCoy, Darwin Thompson, Darrell Williams, Damian Williams, any kind of DW combination there.
West for a
Yeah,
little bit.
Sharkandrick West. Yeah. So I think they have to go get one of these top running backs, and if it's in the first round, I think that's great. That's great for them. I think Dobbins would be a great fit.
Yeah, I mean they really don't have any position need, you know.
Yeah.
So absolutely, go get you a playmaker in the backfield. You have plenty of receivers.
Yeah.
You got the best tight end in football, arguably. You know.
All right. Here's a question for you, Anthony. And we got one in the chat as well. But if one of the top three running backs goes to the Chiefs, is he automatically, would you say, like in terms of
The top rookie.
yeah?
I think it just depends on where the other two go. That's
Do you think there's any better scenarios that the other two could land in? I think Tampa Bay, but you still have like Ronald Jones, who's obviously going to get some snaps. I think Miami, but they bring in
I agree.
Jordan
Kittle over Kelsey. Yeah, sorry, I
Jordan
agree.
Howard.
One of the top tight ends. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I think
Kittle or Kelsey.
Kittle over Kelsey. Oh, Kittle or Kelsey.
I like Kittle, but Kelsey's got that ring. So, but he also has Patrick Mahomes. Sorry. Okay. Other fits.
Oh yeah, like that. I don't know if there's any other fits that would put any of the other two running backs over the guy at the Chiefs. Just in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I was gonna say the only other place maybe would be Baltimore, but they have Ingram and they have Justice Hill, so
honestly,
it's not gonna be there. Well, I mean the Rams.
That's what I was just gonna say. Yeah.
Of production of the opportunity.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But
Sorry.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it'll probably be whoever the Chiefs snag.
Yeah. All right. So question in the chat: how does Lamar overcome playoff struggles? Don't throw interceptions. Don't fumble the ball.
Yeah, I mean, what did he put up? 500 total yards in that loss.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The dude was a one man show in that playoff game. He didn't really have help.
Yeah.
Did he had turnovers in that game?
I think. Well.
Yeah.
That in his first playoff game, which was 2 years ago, I think he fumbled the ball like 4 times. But last year a lot better. But
I think just by more experience.
Yeah.
Just more experience, dude. Like Lamar showed last year, he's getting better and better.
Yeah.
He's proven that he can throw the ball. The freaking Titans defense is so amazing, and the dude put up 500 total yards on him.
Yeah.
So I think he'll overcome him for sure.
Yeah.
Give him some more help at wide receiver. Mark Andrews, absolutely. Mark Ingram, yes. Marquise Brown, solid. Get him a number 1 receiver.
Yeah, I think Marquise Brown is a great wide receiver, but I think he actually will thrive even more with a actual wide receiver 1 alongside of him. Just it's going to open up the field. He's a playmaker. He's a deep ball kind of guy. And I think if you go get a wide receiver 1, I think that's just going to change the whole dynamic of that offense. And even like Mark Ingram had one of the best years of his career with the Ravens in 2019, and I think in 2020, I don't think he surpasses what he did in 2019, but he's still going to have a great a great year, and then you throw in a guy like Justice Hill, who should see a lot more reps in 2020 just out of the backfield. He's another dynamic guy. So it's just a matter of surrounding Jackson with weapons so that he doesn't have to do it all, because when you have to do it all, like, teams figure it out really fast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to answer? Do you want to talk about the Kittle and Kelsey question a little, or no?
Yeah, I think
It's tough. It's tough.
it is tough. Here's what I'll say is that based on what the 49ers decide to do in the draft, I think that'll determine my choice. Right now, I would say Kittle over Kelsey, just because of the departure of Emmanuel Sanders.
More targets.
Yeah, I think that Kittle's upside right now is significant. It's basically him and Debo, and a couple other rookies that are going to get the targets. They're not rookies, but second-year guys. And so I would take Kittle right now. But if they go and get a CeeDee Lamb, a Ruggs, a Judy, any of those like top 5 receivers, I just like Kelsey's connection more with Mahomes. He catches the ball a lot more than Kittle. I feel like Kelsey's main role in the Chiefs offense is pass catching. His PPR points are exponential compared to Kittle, where he's involved in a lot more plays, but it's a lot more blocking and big plays rather than just the straight up PPR.
Yeah.
But how about you? You said Kittle.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like a coin flip though. I'll take both.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
They're both so good. I like Kittle's run after the catch more than Kelsey though, so that's what trumps it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I actually just did some rankings the other night, and I think I have. I'm gonna actually look because I actually saved it. This was more so for dynasty leagues, but it's pretty similar for a redraft. I have Kelsey number 1, Kittle number 2, and Mark Andrews for the Ravens number 3. And I think Zach Ertz generally would be the number 3 guy, but I honestly feel like this is a year where Andrews surpasses him, and I think that Ertz and that the duo of Ertz and Goddard in Philadelphia, I feel like Goddard's just been creeping up and taking targets away, and I feel like 2020 is the year where he actually does that. Not a significant amount, but enough where I would rank Andrews over Ertz, and Ertz is just he's aging. So, yeah, Kittle and Kelsey are definitely the tight end 1 and 2, pretty interchangeable there. Kittle's the younger guy, so I wouldn't have any problem rolling with him.
Right.
Okay, so I guess, and then we're entering the second round, so we say Chiefs go get Dobbins. The beginning of the second round, teams that I could see taking some running backs are the Lions at 35. The third pick in the second round, I could potentially see them going and get a running back to pair with Kerryon Johnson, just based on his injuries over the last couple of years. But then it kind of drops down to the 39th pick to the Dolphins. I could see them. That could definitely be, if none of the running backs are taken, they could take a Swift or a Jonathan Taylor. And then the Texans at 40 right after that. I wouldn't be surprised for them to take a running back there. Would you agree, or do you think that they use that second round pick for a wide receiver?
I would hope maybe address wide receiver with one of their first 2 picks. If you got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, you better get another one. So
yeah,
I think it'd depend on their first rounder. So if they don't go get one of the those top 3 or 4 guys in the first round,
yeah,
then yes, you can go get a Chase Claypool or a Rager or Mims if they're still available. Those guys.
yeah.
But even then, you're starting to get to that point where this is where you start to find some gold. Like Terry McLaurin for Washington, Michael Thomas. I'm not meaning to name Ohio State players. I just literally like this seems like there's guys that you can find in that second, third round that can become big time receivers.
Yeah.
For you. So I'd like to see him get a running back though, because I don't. Dave Johnson's not gonna be the guy.
No, I don't think so at all. Like I'm still trying to figure out that decision, like why David Johnson, after the last 2 seasons that he's had, but I don't know. I guess we'll figure that out. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at a mock draft right now, and I don't think that these are going to be major like fantasy producers, but they're definitely going to be an impact just in the games. They have Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State, wide receiver, going to the Colts at 44. The Buccaneers taking a running back at 45, whether that's Swift or Taylor or Dobbins. I could definitely see that. Jalen Hurts, second round to the Steelers. I don't know about
That's
that.
what this mock draft has?
That's what the one I'm looking at has. I don't think he goes second round to the Steelers. But I think he's a third round pick after what we've seen. Do you think he goes earlier than that or later? Or
I don't think he goes earlier than that. I think third round as well, but like you said earlier, some teams panic.
yeah. True.
If Herbert and Jordan Love are all of a sudden gone after like 20 picks, and somebody's like, crap, we really wanted to get a quarterback
Oh yeah.
in this draft, and then they stretch for a Jake Fromm, a Jake Beason,
No.
Jalen Hurts.
Not Jake Fromm, please.
No, not super early. I'm just saying in that second round.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, I'm
you
just
never
saying.
know.
I'm just saying. I wouldn't pick Jake Fromm ever.
Yeah,
I just don't think. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback in my opinion.
Jake Fromm is really. Who was it? One of the Hasselbecks was talking about him, and they were like, he's just really comparable to Andy Dalton. So you can win with him, but you're not going to get, all pro numbers. You're not going to get big numbers. I'm like, I disagree. I see the comparison of Andy Dalton, but I don't think he can win like Andy Dalton did.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, I agree. I don't like him.
Is there any other? Is there any other quarterbacks in there besides Hurts, Love? Is Jacob Eason in there?
Yeah, I named him.
Oh, okay.
Jacob Eason.
That's right. You did say that.
Jacob Eason. Yeah, you're good. Obviously, we know the top four, but we also thought that a couple years ago when Trubisky surpassed Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. So, who knows if one of those guys, if somebody falls in love with an arm of Jacob Eason, because that's the big thing everybody says. Jacob Eason has a big arm. They love it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see. Like, I feel like we've talked about in the last couple of episodes. It just really it matters where these quarterbacks go, and the one and the two, Tua and Burrow, like we kind of know where they're gonna go. But I feel like if Herbert gets taken early, it's gonna send teams into a quarterback craze, and that's gonna benefit a lot of these teams that already have their quarterback situation figured out, because there's going to be better positional players available. But other way around as well.
I think Herbert's going to go.
Yeah.
As long as Tua goes in that top 5.
Yeah.
I think Herbert will go 6.
Yeah.
Personally.
Is that the
Chargers?
The Chargers? Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yep. It sucks for Tyrod. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, I get pushed out of Buffalo. No,
yeah.
Cleveland. Oh, you take a quarterback. Okay. And I got to groom it, or I got to take the beating until he's ready.
Yeah.
And same thing.
Yeah.
That's the life of a quarterback in the NFL when you're not a star. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So we'll definitely see like where things fall. What did you say?
I didn't say anything. Did I say something?
Oh, I was watching the wrong screen. I was watching our stream, and it's like delayed, and I'm like, why can't I hear what he's saying? No, I think I feel like we covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think we can go like deeper into rookies on the next episode, and even like rank our own and kind of give some positional rankings as April approaches and as free agency finishes up. But yeah, I think like covering the winners and losers of free agency and answering some questions, I think that's great.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
I know the listeners aren't in here anymore. They've dwindled out, whatever. But thank you guys for tuning in.
for sure.
We absolutely love actually seeing that people are watching us
Heck yeah.
live, so we can interact with you guys.
Heck yeah, so much more fun seeing
fun.
comments come in and answering stuff live, because like we just want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. Like we'll talk about our stuff, but we want to answer your guys' questions. So
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, we're not special. We're not greedy. We're not going to sit here and ignore your questions. Like we really actually want you to put questions in there.
Yeah.
It was so good answering questions. Like I loved it. So
yeah, except
you guys can talk just as much as you want to on here, and trust me, at any point we would love to even add you to this, to where you can come on for a 10-minute segment real
absolutely
quick, and you can share your thoughts and we can talk to you about stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and we got a ton more things coming for you guys, different like fantasy redraft rankings and dynasty rankings. We're going to run through like different mock drafts so that you can get an idea, depending on where you're drafting at, like what our mindset is when we go into a draft and how we decide who to pass on and who to pick. So definitely keep tuning in, and we're just going to keep adding more segments and getting more content out there for you guys. But if you're not following us on Instagram, definitely do that. Give us a follow, like a couple posts where we are at thecouchscoutspod. And then we're gonna post this up to YouTube. You can find it on YouTube, same account, the Couch Scouts Pod, and then you can always find us on Spotify and the Apple Podcasts. But feel free to reach out to us via any platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and ask us any questions, and we'll dialogue with you and definitely bring it up on the next episode for sure.
Yeah. Sorry. I was holding a yawn in.
Oh, you're good.
I'm sitting here holding it in, so I was like, if I start talking, it's gonna come out.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Anthony Bills? Someone asked on Instagram, what is your favorite? It was like, what's your favorite recipe to make? I'm like, what the heck? What kind of
favorite recipe to make?
Yeah. Like.
You get a bowl, okay?
Oh, this is good. Listen in, folks.
You get a bowl. You take this rectangular box, you open it, and you look down, and you open up this wrapper, and there's a bunch of little fruity pebbles down there.
Oh.
Pour it in the bowl, get some milk.
Yo. And the best part is that the milk at the bottom, after you finish the fruity pebbles, that milk is just sweet as honey. That's my favorite part.
I don't know. Noah is if you guys follow the Couch Scouts, also, if you want to see some crazy, just some cooking and recipes and dinner, Noah's Instagram stories. Randomly, you'll see some stuff. It's like, oh shoot, this dude really makes that?
Yo.
Oh, like he's a baker.
Yo.
Okay, this dude is a baker and he's a great cook. So go visit him after the quarantine and he'll let him whip you up a dish.
Yo, heck yeah, Ballwig Baker 23 Instagram. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for tuning into the Couch Scouts. This was a super fun episode. Thanks for engaging with us, and we look forward to the next one. Anthony Bills, peacing out. Noah Ballwig, peacing out. Follow us. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Deuces.